Chapter 17. Someone's walking on the dollhouse stairs. The storm centered over the house. A brilliant flash of the lightning brought Amy straight up in the bed, just as the first raindrops thudded on the roof. "Amy!" Luann's panicky cry was muffled by the sheet. She pulled it over her head and was curled into a tight ball. "Amy!" The big bed shuddered under the crash of thunder. "There's nothing to be afraid of," Amy tried to sound calm. "There is too!" Luann sounded as if she was strangling. It's worse than the thunder at our house, Amy." "No, it isn't." But Luann was right. At home, other people and houses were close by. Here in the country, the house stood by itself, as if tonight wasn't going to be scary enough without a storm, Amy thought. She'd been awake for an hour, thinking about what she had to do. The dollhouse was trying to tell her something. She didn't want to go up to the attic again, but she knew she must. "Don't go to sleep, Luann," Amy whispered. "We're going to do something in a few minutes." As soon as Aunt Claire's had time to fall asleep, the sheet was lowered slightly, and it was the next flash of the lightning. Amy saw Luann peering out at her. "I can't go to sleep when I'm afraid," she said. "What are we going to do?" "We're going up into the attic to look at the dollhouse. Watch it. See if anything else happens." "No!" The sheet went back up. "Why not?" "Thunder. I don't like thunder, Amy." There was another breathtaking clap, and Luann moaned. Amy was disappointed. She'd been counting on her sister's company. It would help to be with someone who wasn't afraid of dolls that moved in the dollhouse that lighted up by itself. But Luann was going to scream every time there was a crash of thunder. She'd be no comfort at all. Amy slipped out of bed and opened the bedroom door a crack. Aunt Claire's door was tightly closed. "Is Aunt Claire sleeping?" Luann was peeking again. "I guess so. She said she didn't feel tired, so she was going to take a sleeping pill." It must have worked by now. Amy found her slippers under the bed and put them on. "I'm going up to the attic, Luann. You stay under the covers and keep your eyes closed tight, the way you do at home. You'll be okay." There was a subdued sniffle. Then the mound of bed covers erupted. "I'll go with you." "You don't have to. The thunder will sound louder up there." "That's okay." Luann slid out of bed and reached for Amy's hand. "I want to be with you." Amy felt better. She led the way down to the hall, and lightning leaped across the window in the far end and thunder rattled the panes. Luann trembled. When they opened the attic door, the darkness was daunting. "Too black," Luann whimpered. "Turn on the light, Amy." Amy drew her into the stairwell. "The lightning will help us see," she whispered. "We want to be dark. If the light comes on in the dollhouse, we want to see it happen." As soon as they climbed the stairs, Amy listened for other sounds between thunderclaps, a small scratching noise of dolls moving about. When they reached the top of the step, lightning lit the attic. The dollhouse stood open. "Walk on tiptoe," Amy ordered, "and don't walk out loud. Whatever happens, Aunt Claire mustn't wake up." "Okay," Luann tightened her grip on Amy's hand and let herself be led across the attic door to the corner. The girls knelt in front of the open dollhouse. They waited while the rain beat a wild tattoo over their heads. The lightning flashes grew farther apart, but the thunder was as loud as ever. After what seemed like an endless time, Amy shifted her weight. One foot was starting to tingle. Almost imperceptibly, the dollhouse parlor became easier to see. "It's starting," Amy whispered. She could make out the furniture in the little room, the high back sofa, the chairs, the desk set firmly against the closed door. The grandfather doll stood facing the bookshelves as before, her arm upraised. "Poor Dolly," Luann murmured, hearing that Amy had missed at first because of rain. The crying again. It came from the parlor, soft, cracking sobs. Then the grandfather doll tipped forward until one tiny china hand rested on the back of the book, on a book on the shelf. Amy gasped. Until this moment, a part of her had insisted that the haunting of the dollhouse could be a product of her imagination. She thought she'd seen dolls move before, but she thought they were able to move by themselves. But now she was sitting in front of the parlor, watching it happen. "Amy," Luann looked over her shoulder. Someone's coming up the steps." Amy turned. "Aunt Claire, is that you?" She hardly recognized her own quavering voice. "Aunt Claire?" The footsteps continued, heavy, shuffling, skinny, quick-stepping. Aunt Claire had never walked like that. "Amy, it's in the dollhouse," Luann said wonderingly. "Someone's walking in the dollhouse stairs." She leaned forward and her head cocked in puzzlement. "Someone coming down the dollhouse stairs, but I can't see anyone." Amy threw an arm around her sister. The footsteps stopped and the sobbing grew louder, more frantic. The dollhouse at the bookcase pivoted slowly, just as something heavy thudded against the parlor door. Oh no! Amy struggled to get up, but she couldn't. Her legs wouldn't hold her. Her mind was a blur. She'd come to the attic to learn the secret of the dollhouse, but she didn't want to see this. Not a murder. The sobbing was all around them now. The parlor door shook under the impact of the visible attacker. Luann jumped up. Let's go! Amy, I don't want to stay here anymore. There was a final thud, louder than all the others. The parlor door burst open, shoving the desk to one side. A high, thin scream filled the attic. Amy stared at the gaping door and at a grandmother doll pressing against the bookshelves. Panic gave her strength, and she scrambled to her feet. The girls dashed across the attic and down to the stairs as they threw open the door, and the bottom tumbled into a hall, and a roll of thunder set the whole house trembling. Aunt Claire! Amy shrieked. Luann shouted, Mama! And they hurtled into their aunt's bedroom as if the killer himself were right behind them.